This is Laramie 1's 2018 Facility Plan Meeting with School Facilities Division of the State Construction Department, and we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves.
Amber Leach, Planning.
Charlie Kaufman, Planning.
John Lovell, Superintendent, Laramie County School District 1.
Brandon Finney, Planning and Finance.
Dave Barton, Assistant Superintendent, Laramie 1. Mike Peel, Laramie 1.
Dennis Walker.
Laramie 1.
Judy Smith, Laramie 1.
And Brad will join us shortly, so we'll make sure we keep his name up here in the template. So thank you for all the work that you've done in getting ready for this meeting. Obviously, a lot of work goes into this. Judy just said that 4 months worth of work goes into this, so I really appreciate the work up front and really try to make this all about what's really the pertinent issues instead of going through and looking at little minor things that we go through during the year, updates on the database. Try to make sure we do all that up front, so that way when we come to this meeting, we can just talk about really the pertinent issues that are for us out here. So we will begin with your facility plan template. Thank you for these other documents. It helps me to kind of look over what you're looking at. And I've seen a few of them a few times, so we're getting familiar with these, right? All right. So on these first parts, we're just going to go right through them. I mean, obviously you guys have previewed it, and so there's no real need for discussion unless you guys have any questions. So tracks and deeds, thank you for getting those verified with us. I don't think there's no changes that we really need to know about at this point.
The only thing I learned there, Charlie, is on the undeveloped, which ones are those?
All right, so this camp stool property tract is over by.
Can you Google it for me?
Sure, we can pull up Google it for you.
By Walmart.
So by
Across from
Walmart.
our transportation complex.
The new Walmart?
Yeah, Mark
Yeah.
Camp Stool.
You classify it as undeveloped, I'd say it's developed just for the make because it is fenced and it's secure because it's perfect.
Right.
It
Well,
has like some rubble in it, different stuff.
Playground, mulch,
Yeah.
rock.
I think I've driven by it maybe.
Gravel.
unfortunately, the way the database works is it only gives us the option of undeveloped.
Sure, no, I get that.
So, yeah, so that's one of those items. All right, let's see.
In other words, it doesn't have a building on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Almost visual, yeah.
Up this from here.
Just south of Maine.
Uh-huh.
That's right.
Over here.
There you go.
So it goes straight.
It's right off College Drive. It's right here. Yeah.
There you go, right here.
And my house is
Sorry.
over there.
Okay, yeah, I've,
Yeah, this was before they built the new Walmart, so
Mhm.
obviously here you go. But, so this piece of property right here.
okay, got that one. That's the one I was thinking of, Judy.
So now we know mulch is missing.
It's on me. Do you have some landscape projects?
And then,
I said,
oops. Yeah, you probably got an interesting surprise if he showed up at the fifth floor of the Hathaway building. I don't know if it's,
we just talked to him yesterday. We couldn't talk.
Yeah.
actually, I think it's currently vacant. They used it for a couple different items for swing space for replacing carpet and board floors, so it may be vacant again, so.
Okay, McMurray property, that was that one.
So the Murray property is over on Story Boulevard.
It was originally our property to start with, section 20. But we got trade for Laramie High
By the
School.
mall? Yeah, okay. Got that
So
one.
you're down.
Cool.
Down here, the Powder House Carlson site,
Mhm.
16 acres on there, so that's,
I only had two carved out of that piece.
Well, we actually
Trade.
traded for one large piece and Frank Cole wanted a portion of it so he could keep the development. So we traded to get 16 acres. Carlson, we kept that other because it's not right, it's not small.
Cool, okay.
So once that builds out, and we believe, all indications are that'll start from the mall, be high density, and then as it goes more, it'll be medium density. So I think as it gets developed, you're gonna have a ton of those.
Yeah. Someday it will be. For sure. And then the last one's the South.
Ridge 2 track.
I was involved in that one. I know that one.
And you know where that one's at.
Yep, got that one. Cool.
Very good.
So Judy, then is the Afterbar and our properties aren't listed separate just because they're adjacent to current sites. Is that
Right. That's correct. Okay. Land leases. Currently, no changes on that. It's the same that they were last year. Thank you for getting those. So let's talk about, now, one of the other things that we wanted to do today is we want to make sure that we talked about all the things that you guys want to talk about rather than me try to summarize everything that's written. I have read through everything, but I thought it'd be fair to let you just talk about that. So let's talk about the high school piece of land for you guys. I know that with right now you guys currently sit around 98, 99% almost, and so what are your plans for that land?
for which land?
For the high school. The high school, I know we've talked a little bit about that.
The high school, junior high school.
Yeah, junior high
For
school.
for the fourth.
Yes.
Well, we've got internally planning construction is doing completing a study because we believe looking at the future growth, it will either, we believe junior high school complex either east to east or south to south. So the issue is if you look at the subdivisions that are platted now, there's potential for a lot of housing in both areas. So Chris Howard and our guys have looked at that and put something together, and it's one of those where we know if we can purchase a plot of land now, it was on the dollar compared to when the infrastructure comes in.
Right.
But it's still kind of a gamble. Do we go to the east triad or the south triad, not knowing which one's going to develop? And if one develops for the other, I think it's going to slow the development of the second subdivision. So
That's true.
now, obviously, in the past, we talked to you guys, and if we do purchase it and we end up not using it because development patterns shift, obviously, to sell that, the proceeds come back, and we've not seen a situation where land appreciates on it.
Right.
So we're moving slow and methodically to see if there's some indicators that help. You don't have to wait too long, and then, like the salary range, we waited long enough, but $300,000 lot cost us a million. So it's just that tipping point of how do you move forward. So we do have these guys working on the study. We essentially kind of held off to push it too hard with the legislature when we see what they were going to do. So I anticipate we'll probably have you guys done that in the spring.
The difficulty is going to be getting the land. It's particularly if we go with the district's standard system of getting a junior high, senior high site together. It's a lot of land, and particularly in the east portion of town where the sewerability is limited, that's going to need it. The areas that we can look at are limited, and it's going to need to be picked up pretty quick if that's the way it goes, or the sooner the better, obviously. If the development does happen south, there's enough open land, enough sewerable land, and some really large developers that I think we can work with over time.
So the time frame on your conclusion of your study would be September, fall of 18, remember?
No,
Oh,
fairly.
spring of 18. Like now.
Feels
like
spring. I mean, we were moving along on it pretty well, and we backed off.
And then the kid needs to go through the processes of superintendent staff on the board, making sure they're in line with local population.
You'll get it.
So that's one of the things that we'll just continue to look at. We'll anticipate looking to see what that report is for you guys.
So before we move on, so with that, I know prior to the legislature, there was some land sitting in that fund between the Trump and 91. Do you guys know what's been recommended to be reverted back, or it's still there?
I can answer that.
You have no money.
So it's all been reverted.
So I went through and I can show you. Yeah, let me.
No, and that's why I just,
Yeah,
so if
since-
it's not there, I'm not sure the relevance of the report back to you guys.
Oh, what I was thinking was, a couple of things. One, first, there's no money. We swept money, and I can go into the details when we get into finance. Swept money for multiple projects, from Parson Eden, from all the land pod, from Teton. So it was, from the remaining Saddle Ridge 2 money, there was 171. So it was an aggregate of pull some from here, pull some from here, scoop it together. You'll see it in the bottom of the bill. It says 2 million, 2 million. That's a combination of all sorts of projects. But what you do is complete the study, get it up through all the governmental channels, get a superintendent board, and then when the need arises, we're ready. We know what the cost is, what the plan is, and when we go forward, we have all our ducks in a row. So, Judy, you look confused. Did I?
What you said about Saddle Ridge.
We're safe though. So in the land purchase, there was like 2 million, but the actual cost was 1,700,000 some change. There was some crumbs left in that appropriation.
The infrastructure came out of a different budget.
Okay,
Yeah, and I was worried about that myself.
Originally, we brought.
We're safe.
that's what I was thinking.
No, I thought that too, because things got crazy.
It came lumped together, and Troy had us pull the infrastructure out, and we tried to get it back in. So you guys got a separate
Now,
appropriation last year.
Yeah.
that one's still standing.
So Judy, you're good to go. There's still 200 grand plus money to cover any inflation costs. Yeah, I double checked and verified as I was working on it.
Very good. So we'll continue moving on here. Property profiles, thank you for verifying those with us. No big changes at this point. We did make note there was a few changes that we've been working through.
There is a potential, just to let you know, that we may be reducing modulars.
Okay.
Reducing 1 or 2 wanted hubs, which is a risk modular.
Okay. Let me go back and look at that one real quick. So I need to note this for ourselves. So
Dave, you're down to what, 5?
We returned 5, we still have 7.
7.
7 weeks, there are several other.
so we need to know for.
Yeah, I was just thinking of the beans count.
Which one?
I can't give you the exact which one of those will go ahead, but I can tell you 1 of the 3.
Okay.
I think we only have one that's leased out there.
Yeah, it looks like modular 3 is going on as least.
So that would be the one.
Okay.
When would you return?
I'm looking at the principles right now, so it's, I'm tentatively.
Yeah.
Okay. No, we'll just note it, and that way we know which one. Like if it does get disposed, like returned back, that way we can.
And then the second one, we may be reducing at Saddle Ridge Pipeline. And they're going to have regulatory staffing and some capital and those types of things. For sure.
But the cool thing about that is we would need all the money they got appropriated, right?
Right.
So that's a plus. It's like 10 grand, 20 grand. But still.
2 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, well, we'll note that and just make sure that when if anything does change on that, we can make those changes.
So who's taking notes? Amber, you putting notes in the bottom?
So Amber is taking notes for us right now. Thank you, Amber. And these are your leases that we have here.
So Charlie, real quick, so going back to the remaining 5 that we have leased.
Okay.
Those are all in areas that neighborhoods are overcrowded. So is it the intent of the department not to request funding going forward? What's the
Well, we have money for the full biennium,
correct?
right? So last time, I think it did not, per the policy on the capacity, remember I was at your office and said, hey, Dave, I'm not putting it in there. But then we just went through the reconfiguration and moving the kids and all that stuff. And the implementation of the district's plan hasn't yet to be seen. I mean, maybe it has now, maybe it hasn't. It's still pretty early. So the plan and what we presented to the select committee is, let's fund this for another biennium. Let's wait and see how the business plan in my mind gets implemented and what the outcome is, and then make a decision. maybe a couple modulars are back, maybe some stay. We don't know yet, so I think we'd have to wait a little bit and then go for the money or not.
Sure, well, so originally it was said that if when I passed the district-wide, in the district, that you guys were going to give them enhancements, so that's still
I don't know about enhancement, but you'd have to pay for them out of your own general funds. So I think the stance would still be the same. That you get the transition period grace, which the money came in the appropriation. And then if you can get rid of a few, you do. And if not, you whip out a checkbook and write a check for the extras.
okay. So next question would be if I send back the lease modular, you guys will pay the 125 out of major maintenance, 125,000 to move an old modular to the site.
Don't know. I'd look into it.
I mean, because we're looking at 15,000 a year for lease modular.
Yep.
We're looking at 125 to move one. So, but
We'll write it down and double check, look into it. As far as the lease payments, I get that part of it, and I requested it and talked to the select committee about it and all that, so. Now, as far as what we do on getting more modular moved and reconfigured, I have to look into it.
And did I read something, is it House Bill 33, that they're going to count modular space as square footage in the district now?
I
don't know.
Bill on that. Bill
It's
closer.
32 or 33, I can't remember.
So 32 dealt, well, House Bill Act 18 dealt with more of like the changes in the codes. So I don't remember that being modular. I don't think we're in that one. 33, I'd have to go back and look.
And GS, first I've heard of it, because
Yeah.
most of the modulars aren't
I
counted.
think that's might be part of House Bill 140, which
Yeah.
is part of the school funding.
Yeah, I saw something in there about adding modulars.
Right, and as far as I know, we don't. We have
Right now,
never-
we don't.
Right, unless it's the actual school, like a rural school, where they have modular.
And I think what we're looking at is driver for major maintenance and utilities, not really square footage for capacity.
Block grant.
Right.
Okay.
Walk around. So no, as far as I know. But, okay.
I think it should be noted too, that as far as the modulars that remain, the district went through much anxiety and pain, I guess, in adjusting boundaries this last year. And that was sort of a last step to fill schools that had any room at all, move kids over and make adjustments to try to balance everything. The modulars that are left, there typically isn't room anywhere within reason to move those kids. So the district's gone through all the steps to try to fill schools as much as possible. And modulars are kind of the last step beyond building additional square footage.
So, since we're talking modulars and equipment, so what is the department's thoughts on the methodology? Are they leave it at 25?
As of right now, it's 25, and I don't foresee any changes at this point. I may be wrong, but I don't know at this point. I mean, that's obviously a decision that has to be made both mine at this point. But as of this time, I don't see it.
So, I guess I'll just go the record, because obviously under leadership, thing today, but, so the methodology, we're just saying 25 to 1, and yet we've got a planning model and statute saying we need to endeavor to 16 to 1, so you can see where we report the capacity. To us, it's somewhat erroneous what the legislature's saying to say we're at 92%, when we're sitting at 18 of those K-12. And those we need for the modulars and the upgrades, which we need more classrooms to do. So, I don't know if we take that to the commission or if we have to go to the select committee and direct, but I think we've got a very conflicting set of standards in what you guys are choosing to use and what we're going
Yeah, Dave, my experience is that it should go to the select JAC legislature. It's gotta go to that level. I mean, the commission
For the
could.
record, for the record, it did. And they did say you didn't see the commission did.
Yeah, I mean, they can write a statute, get it cleaned up. That'd be the ideal situation.
It would be, you know, that way there's no, really, honestly,
Yeah.
you know, and that's why I say, you know, honestly, it's about where we're at right now, but for the foreseeable, you know, until any changes on that.
Yeah.
I appreciate the conversation. Thank you for bringing that up. So let's talk about, let's see, your land leases, any changes or anything we need to talk about with that for right now? Continue moving on then. Okay. So we do want to note that, so right now we've been talking about those modulations. This is what is in House Rule Act 62. That's, as far as I know, it's still on the governor's desk for signature. So we do have the modular leases for another 2 years for these that are listed here.
And you'll have two that possibly will go away out of those seven. Thank you.
Like revert, shift the money. The authority, we'll wait to revert it until you're done. Probably next year's facility. Then we revert.
Okay. Enhancements really quick. Anything or changes that we need to look over on the enhancements?
I think we have McCormick taken care of, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I made those changes earlier, a couple months. Jeez.
Just wondering if
Pull that up a little bit. Sorry, these are a little hard to read on the.
expenditures.
Yep, so we went ahead and got those updated and entered in and we'll take care of. Any other changes we need to look at?
So did we get the one at Triumph taken care of?
So Triumph, we, let me look at the notes. I'm sorry.
There is a note there to say that
Okay, that last note there, on it's a due to change in adequacy standards of 1,500 square foot removed off the enhancement per report. This was done, so we did that after last year.
I think I remember that last year.
Right, so here's my question. So when you enter it in this box of enhancement, does that tie to anything that will drive, adjust, tweak square footage? Because that was the question last year, to make sure that.
Right, no, so actually when we went through the calculator last year, we put that 15. So, right, and it's in there as far as I know at this time.
Plus the stuff in any of these tables, right?
Right, no, the only thing
That's all I
we did,
want to make sure.
yeah, no, we removed that out of there. So no, it drives the whole building on that. So. And I wanted to talk a little bit, you know, with House Enrolled Act 18 and a lot of the changes in the major maintenance statute. I know you guys have talked a little bit about your existing buildings and the ADA access and sprinklers with the revisions in House Enrolled Act 18. Now, districts are allowed to do code compliance, which means improvements or site improvements that are mandated in writing by authority, average jurisdiction, for the continued use of the school building or facility. Also, site improvements now mean replacement, repair, replacement, or upgrade of components or equipment of school district buildings and facilities. So, then it lists a few here. So this is including the repair, replacement, upgrade of sidewalks, parking lots, athletic tracks, playground features, outdoor security features, landscaping, drainage systems or similar components or equipment. System improvements mean the repair, replacement, or upgrade of components or equipment of school district buildings, including structural, fire protection system, and indoor security features. Electrical, plumbing, heating, ventilation, or air conditioning systems, roofs, windows, information technology systems, or similar components or equipment.
How about motors?
Yeah, it's not a catch-all. You know what this is from, Judy, is this is our study, man. Me and you and Dennis, and we all worked on that. And the bill got to select and they
Well, Judy,
carved out.
but the catch-all is the bottom line, similar components or equipment, because it was, and that you said it in the committee meetings. It wasn't intended to be specific list. It was, so I'm assuming two things. One is you're assuming the governor's going to sign this.
He already did. It's House Enrolled 18. It was signed last week.
Okay.
It was signed every Friday last week. So, yes.
So then my question, where you've got security listed up there, does that mean it's no longer 10% security money? It's just
No, it's 10% still in there. You can spend 10% of your funds for 18.
I understand, but with this going in and saying we can use major maintenance for all of this, security should be just part of major maintenance.
And, you know, honestly, we'll have to wait for our interpretations of, I mean, I'm not a legal expert, I can't tell you that, but
I think a lot of it will be coming down to, you come across a component or element within the school that's already established, you'll be working with your team on those situations to determine if it fits within this. So,
Well, sure, but we've already got an 11-page security audit on every building that has ones and twos all over the board. So if we come in and we say we've got this set of ones and twos we want to address with major maintenance, I guess my question is with this statute, or do we have to come back and have a recess? I mean, it was your folks that assessed it, so.
that's a great question, one that I don't know the answer. I'm sorry.
And obviously, it's a big concern in the community.
It is. I agree. It is a big issue.
Parents.
Right. The thing is, I just don't, like I said, I don't have the answer now. And we'll work on trying to get that figured out, so. So this was signed Friday, so we're trying to figure out what it all means first anyways. There's other items in the statute we've got to figure out as well, so.
So what's this
Being
mean?
in writing, does that mean when the codes are
It
approved?
says,
Well, or site improvements, the code improvements mean system improvements.
number 5 there, outdoor security features, maybe down there, so this is indoor security features.
Gotcha. Yeah, on the top one where you said approved in writing, that's like a fire marshal comes in and says, Anderson needs a sprinkler system, signed off, it's on letterhead, and it's not existing. Then you can go ahead and just put it in there. And that was part of their study that we're trying to get through, is allow that kind of stuff.
Understand. But, I mean, we've advantage with local law enforcement here where our SWAT, sheriff, really doing the active shooter goes frequently. So we do request that. So if I have law enforcement come and say there's no way we have active shooter and then address this issue, I would consider the
Authority have jurisdiction?
So,
It's one of those.
I don't think.
I guess
law- I
it's
don't
just
think
one of
a
those
cop's
when I come to
authority
you
has-
guys and say we have a problem, I don't want to get hung up on the details saying we're not going to address it because he's not a code.
Right.
I mean,
I don't think cops are privileged. That's my opinion.
They enforce it.
Yeah,
Enforcement. All right, so.
I'm just saying,
all cops. Okay. That works.
All right, let's get into your district appropriations update. So let's make, you have that.
Yeah, I'll pull that guy out. Judy, you got tons of cash to return?
Maybe.
All right,
So we pull up this, I got a
This
spreadsheet.
report,
I tracked
as
that
of
stuff.
this report, we
Congrats.
listed our,
I'll make sure Kevin is.
We have the annual leases listed for the 7 retained modulars.
We're not returning that though.
I will be closing out Freedom and Metal Arc.
Wait a second.
All right, so real quick, Brandon, Troy's notes for 1073 complete, no funds remaining for 1073.
One second. Just want to make sure you get the short sheet.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, 1073.
1073 complete. No funds
Revert,
remaining.
Judy?
Yeah, that's,
There's nothing.
it's been done for a long time.
2019. Cool, next one.
1074.
Revert or leave those?
Open, it's a lease modular.
Oh, yeah, don't touch that.
Open.
1075, looks like it's a modular, leave open. 1076, modular, leave open.
Yep.
77, modular. 78, modular. 79, I'd leave all those open, right?
No.
Actually, 78 and 79 are to be closed out during closeout phase.
Oh, those are the two that left last summer, right?
Bags carry 3 and carry 4.
Excuse me, 1077 through 79 are
Can
all.
all go?
Yes,
Okay. Those are the ones last summer, right?
that were removed last summer, correct.
Okay, 2018. Okay, got those three.
Okay, 1080 we're leaving open.
Correct,
As far as we know,
Okay.
still in House Enrolled Act 62.
correct.
1081.
That one should have been reverted last year, yeah.
Yep, I got that down.
1082.
I got reverted 2017.
Correct,
1082 should be reverted at 2017 as well. We need clearances.
Yep, got that one.
Okay, 1083. That's the modular still at Dildine.
no,
Leave that one
that was removed,
removed. Okay, returned.
So 1083,
yes.
2018. Okay, got it.
1084 we reverted last year.
Yep.
1085.
I'm getting ready to close that out.
Yeah, and then Judy, leave it. Leave the money and everything on that one. At least because you're not doing 11-month warranty and all that, right? Yeah, just got a ways to go.
No,
Cool.
Okay. Very good. 1086.
reverted,
1087.
that one will be closing out too.
So on
We're
1086,
still waiting
revert.
for one final payment to be approved by SFD. We have some issues on service dates, so,
So 1086, Judy, that's revertible.
Yes.
yes.
And 1087, that's the new school.
That one
No,
will-
1087 you won't.
No.
Okay,
that one
okay.
will-
Okay. 1088,
Don't know what that is.
there's 40 grand hanging on that one. And I looked at it as I was scrubbing. That was a project.
1080. Yeah, I'm not really recalling what 1088 was.
I can't remember. I looked at it during the session. I think, go down lower in the facility plan, it might be a section.
It does
Right
have
there.
88. There's $42,000
Yeah.
remaining.
And I'm not sure if that had to do with the Carlson and Powerhouse side or the Story Boulevard side.
We can revert the 40 grand though, right?
I'm not sure what it is.
Hold on, let me go to
Can you
AIM
pull
and
it
tell you
up?
the project. Yeah, let's pull up the number.
1088.
Yeah, let's see what the project is.
Okay. Let me look at
No.
All right.
Land purchase for future EMS. Related documents.
Yeah, this is the
Story
Story Boulevard
Boulevard.
piece.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's done, that's 40 grand. This is the kind of stuff I was telling you.
Yeah, there we
It's
go.
done.
Okay. So revert, Judy?
Mm-hmm.
I had to go back and look at the records on that one, so yes. That's the one.
Okay, got it.
Story Boulevard piece.
The one that's called the Murray property.
Okay. Okay, what's the next one? 1089?
That's the annual lease for the house modular, annual lease 3, that one,
Leave open.
leave open for now.
Saddle Ridge Modulars, leave open.
Yep.
Pioneer, leave open.
No. That one should have been closed a long time ago.
Isn't Pioneer the lease, the land?
It's
Modular.
modular.
Pioneer's we don't.
There was a leased modular there,
That's been.
removed a long time ago.
Yeah, all right, we need to.
So revert.
Yes.
Yep.
Mhm.
You're gonna make me call more accounts here, Dave? You're gonna make me scrub more accounts?
But not as a lease. We own it. We own both modulars.
Do we have that little parcel listed in the lease that he wants?
Yes.
Then you got the Saddle Ridge, that one stays.
Right.
194 Sunrise, that one stays.
Mhm.
Land purchase Saddle Ridge 2, that one was, reappropriated. I'll put that reappro.
And
So
the
it was
reason why I left that was because of the infrastructures, but you're saying that's out of a different fund now.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that money that's there, I won't touch that one. Because we need to leave that project open, because the way Ames set up,
Set
new
up.
project comes in, it still ties to that.
So is that the way it's gonna work with Prairie Wind too? Because this 1092 also dealt with the building construction.
Yeah,
Two.
And so you're gonna be carrying this project into infinity.
yeah,
Pretty much we're putting like a soft close on it at this point in time
Right.
with what buying land, you put the soft close, you've done it, you're over with that portion of it is. Once you determine that you're gonna start doing design, they'll open that exact number back up and they will
Right, on that one.
identify it as design and
You
then
mean
that
Saddle
number.
Ridge 2 or?
No, Prairie
Prairie
Wind
Wind.
Elementary School sitting on state
Right, so
property.
that's,
So it's
we
a
get the,
state land
we get the
lease.
leases separate on that. We get paid for separately, so I do believe that comes out.
So I was wondering if we could separate the land lease from the building
yeah.
project.
I'll work with Gingy on that, make sure. Because I'll be here for
We
a
have-
while, I'll have to deal with it.
Because you have to track through so much stuff to get to the actual land lease piece.
Right, no, I think we have separated that one out successfully, the land lease for Prairie Wind, right?
I don't know, I'll work with
We'll work with
JJ.
JJ. I don't know. I'll have to look.
And I think we're caught up, you know how we were behind? And you and I, we asked for the money, I think that should get us back in sync with this appropriation.
So will 2675 for Saddle Ridge stay as the project number
It
for
will,
the infrastructure?
yeah, and then when the school comes on, that way, that'll go into the same project, so you can see the total cost of ownership.
Okay.
And this is what we were talking about earlier about the other funds that were sucked back up for. These are reverted back to the capital school construction account that the legislature did.
Yeah, Judy, there it is right there. See the 200 grand at the bottom?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's the one still sitting there. The 171 is what I identified to be taken.
And we'll get a copy of all these notes, right?
Yes. She'll get a copy of this. Okay. Anything else we need to cover on that? Get them all.
Yeah, I got it. I think I'm good.
Okay. Very good. Anything else?
Hold off.
Okay. All right, security. Brandon, do you want to talk about this one?
Well, they have the security approach for 9 million, you know, and they also have the 10%, which you're chugging away on that. And I'd say just keep working on it with your project managers, rolling like you have. I did see at Anderson, you guys put a little camera and you have to buzz in now though. I was happy about that.
That was,
So when we get to the tail end, because obviously we're doing the major renovation of the bed, some of this to address the security vest we did.
Yeah.
So when we complete that, our plan is when we get the majority of this big ones done, we're not going to address the other 4 or 5 schools or the offices or interior. We're going to look at Bang and get some additional cops and that type of thing. So while the security measures we have in place help, they don't treat it, fully address the security of the building. So, in moving forward, how do we look at those things? To have a security investigator, maybe having some higher scope footage from the building, maybe what we're doing about the ridge, we're moving the main office from the middle building.
Front, yeah.
So,
Can you keep the same model concept and do it in another school?
they're all unique. Yeah. It's, but, we've addressed, I know originally they picked the priority to do those and access control, which of course you still have those other.
so there are a couple things that we've talked about as a department. One of them is, and this would be coming from you guys, that if you did want to move money around in buckets, you could do it on one time only, right now, Brandon? One time only?
Yeah, other districts have moved money from one line to the other to cover additional costs that was above and beyond, like door locks. They didn't spend that, but they moved that money to cover some costs that were over. And I also think the legislature, I haven't double checked and verified, but they gave the 10% allowance again.
It's still in House Rules Act.
Did pass.
It's in 62.
Right,
Was it there?
yes.
The cool thing about that is it gives you more flexibility versus the 1,004,000. That's pretty more rigid. It's within the box, and the 10% is a little more deviation to it.
Well, our project manager isn't present, but the discussion was that with the remaining funds in the original 9 million, whatever we were appropriating, that the remaining funds would be swept to the Buffalo Ridge renovation for that security vestibule. That's one of the things I wanted to address too, is there a better way that the money could be pooled and then gouged for expenditures? It is a living nightmare. It has improved vastly since its original disbursement, but it is still so hard. It takes weeks to get a dowel on a security project because you have to go line by line by line to see what you can sweep from D702 into D703. And by that time, our security contractors are way behind and our projects are being delayed when we can get them done.
Chop, chop.
This, yes.
Be proactive and work with the PM.
We have been, but I'm just saying, his hands are tied, our hands are tied. It's delaying us in getting the gals so that we can give the contractor notice to proceed with work.
One of the topics we talked about discussing after all of the planning.
That, and they were talking about doing an interim topic on security from the legislature, so I don't know if that ever came in. That doesn't have to do with dowels and encumbrances and stuff, but it was one of the topics.
So I just didn't know if you guys could talk to somebody higher up that could somehow or another arrange it to where it's similar to where, like major maintenance is. You put on a work order, it's done.
Go
As
through
long
the-
as you don't go past that amount of money that was appropriated.
Work with Michael and see if you could talk to Shelby and go through that.
And then Charlie, in addition to these, I have put our current as attachment A, what we have expended out of our capital, which is the 9, and what we have in 10% major maintenance expenditures following that.
And we were looking through that a little earlier when I got this. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and so then for 2017, that, what you have left is 157,000. And with that language passing, 728, 839.6. Estimated or actually, that'll be estimated until we get that out. Okay. All right, any other questions, concerns?
Just a note, because I say this every year. So I believe you guys scored 17 areas in security.
So yeah, quite a few elements.
Yes, sir.
And I know we focused on these, and so I guess I just concerned about the liability. How many of these other, however many areas are out there where we have ones and twos noted as security issues and elements that we're choosing not to work on. So, Paul Tim says, gosh, as long as you're working for it, you're fine.
Right. Until something happens.
Exactly. So,
Yeah, I mean, when I put in the budget 2 requests, which is the next 2 elements, and it was like 15 and $7 million bucks. They came back and said, hey, thanks, but no thanks, we'll give you the 10%. So I think that was how the legislature last time dealt with it. And this year, they did the same thing.
right. So then, I mean,
They're funding it, but it's not the way.
well,
Here's the element, here's the
they're giving
check.
you an option, but when you just do a recalibration study that says that you guys have done it yourselves, we're underfunded on major maintenance, and then you give me an opportunity to spend 10% of my unfunded major maintenance on another element, something.
It dilutes, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I understand that you guys realize that, but it's to me, it's, because it was a partnership with school facilities, we all share the liability. And that,
Yeah, it was crazy because, I mean, we were all on that team that put that study together. Spent $300,000, spent months getting it to going. And it fizzled like a camel in a bucket of water on it. So I was, personally, I was like, what the heck?
Well, the hard part of it,
Would have been cool. 100% raise throughout the whole district, doubled the major maintenance, a lot of cash.
it's just the difficulty in Laramie one, because we basically have 3 different types of security being able to be offered, because we've got the new buildings that are all designed in. Some of our mid-range buildings, we've been able to come back and natural temperature, local facilities, and just, do the best work around we can. But we all know that we would not design a school in that manner.
I think whoever does the next round of estimating needs to take a closer look. Because the costs are coming up way short of a lot of items.
And one of the things that they had noted is that these were more for the hard costs, we didn't include any of the soft costs, and that's where a lot of the errors seem to be coming in at.
Yeah, but once it's in a report, it's gospel.
Yeah,
It's hard to
appropriated.
change.
Yeah, you can't go back and say, hey, I need extra money. It's a pretty rigid process.
Right, exactly.
So Dan, when I did the budget myself, I took those numbers and inflated them and worked with Lyman's economics, because I heard districts say, hey, this is a lot of money. So I tried to pump the money into it, but it never got funded. Yeah.
So, for example, when you replace a keyway in a door rubber set, this budget gave us $30. To replace it is $300.
Right.
So it's a little short.
A little bit.
And I know some of the other districts have come up really short as well. They're having a hard time finding people just to come to the district.
Right. So I think we'll see what happens on the interim topic, if it is a topic, and then we'll get direction probably on how to move forward with, because do we keep working down those elements? The next one in line, roughly $15 million, keep putting it out there.
And then the other thing, I talked to legislators on this, about school security is not only schools. The nutrition building, and we're one of the few with a standalone nutrition building. If you really want to get the kids, we'll deliver it for you if you want to get in there and do something. So security in that facility needs to be just as tight as what we have in the school for different reasons. Transportation, same thing.
Admin, I can walk into your building.
We don't care about admin, right?
I mean, it's easy to walk in there.
You know,
we're
No one ever
expendable.
stops me.
Right.
Judy's the safest. Try to find her in that building. She's okay.
We did that.
No, that would be Brad.
No, but you're right.
I haven't tried to find Brad, but I tried to find you one day, and I always took him.
So I don't know if it was just education or if it was all buildings.
It's educational buildings, and actually, when they came through the first time, they would not score our maintenance building, they would not score our nutrition building, but they scored our bus wash. Okay. And, actually, we went back and kind of argued the definition of a school facility.
All the buildings, right?
Exactly. So we did go back and argue and make subsequent, we actually put that general fund that those two scored, but yet there's no funding in here to address those issues. So, you know, when you get to the end and you've got additional funds, we can't even sweep those over to address some of those issues because
So-
that's the issue.
Since my role is the budget, I'm gonna always keep bringing it to the director and the commission. And it's gonna, because it's something in the list, you know, I go down the list, capacity, conditions, security, and I load it up.
I mean, it was interesting, because my conversation with Bill Land was like, gosh, I never thought of bus garages and nutrition. You know, so it's really just a conversation of, even though it may be written in statute a certain way, all of us, because we share this responsibility to continue to point out that there's some gaps that can help us, whether it's rule, rate, policy, whatever it is, we're gonna change it to where we can address it.
And funding.
Knowing you have the issue, knowing you have funding over here that you can't revert over here doesn't have to address the issue. So that's, I guess, my plea.
Well, we present the budget for it.
Anything else? So next brings us up to capacity, and we do have your district analysis for your in-school, or in-town schools here. And these are using the SOC's methodology.
And for the record, we don't agree.
Yep.
Gary, serious?
So we figure out how to
It's explained
figure out how to address it.
further down.
Hey, what's the charter school plan?
I'll get clear. Got it right.
Rules.
Yeah, rural schools there as well. I broke them all out for you. And then the high schools, like we talked earlier, 98%. Pass that's the, right now that's the basically have 4 classrooms in that room.
Oh, pass.
Yeah,
I was trying to think which one that was. That's that new one.
This is they,
But the coin closed here. Mike Wiggum. I gotta work those. 3, yeah. I'm starting to get my head around all that charter school stuff. Took a while. Okay.
so our enrollment projections based off our SFC rules and regs. And then
The last most 10 years, most recent 10 years, I said that upward trend.
I'm sorry, say that again.
It says it's based on the most recent 10 years of data. Doesn't that indicate an upward trend that mine's going down?
That does cohort, takes all the survival.
Right.
Count.
When we're looking at the survival rates is where we get the last 10 years where your survival rates, probably where you're getting a little bit of a downward trend.
Hey Dave, what happens here? Are kids leaving? Was that 10?
That's that junior year. That's a statewide thing. Junior year is a brutal year for the whole state.
That's for sure. What are kids doing right there here?
But for one, at 16, compulsory attendance will have changed from 16 to 15 to 16. So, you don't have the leverage when you're 15.
15, you can make a kid go to school? Okay. Yeah, that's too bad. They should keep it all the way at 18.
Yeah, no, that's a statewide problem as well. Every district in the state, that junior year, sophomore, junior year, go through this process.
Then is this where they say, I shouldn't have dropped out? Wasn't so good flipping burgers?
Yeah, so a question for you, on your, when you do this data, are you looking at the actually the analytical?
So when we do this, it's a combination of things. So we have your past 10-year enrollments of data, which tracks, that's how you get the survival rates that tracks from year to year to year. It's a percentage based off that. The other part on this cohort, which is all mathematical, is really, it drives it seems like the last few years have more weight than that. So,
But you're looking at the students' ADM, I mean, their attendance in the building, not, because what we have is from the junior year to the senior year, the student who drops out comes back 5th year, 6th year, 7th year to graduate. So those don't count in our cohort graduation rate by the state numbers. But, so my question is, are you guys counting those kids in here?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, does
We're not providing
WDE
that.
report them?
Right.
Well, we would
I
get.
don't. So this is actually your October enrollments, but no, if it's not reported by WU, we don't get those.
Well, I think the ADM, so the ADM would count because they're attending, but
Right.
they don't count on graduation rate because they can graduate with their cohort.
Gotcha.
Got it.
So,
Actually, no, to answer your question, I guess, then if they're enrolled in the building, then yeah, they'll show up on these.
It does, as a district, affects your graduation rate. So it actually looks lower than it really is because Brandon dropped out and then he came back.
and
Got it.
we have on average 150 to 80 kids graduating in the summer, but this graduation, which count in the cohort in second months.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have 50 kids come back throughout the year. Finish the course go there.
So
I guess, my concern with the enrollment projections this year was that one of the things is that it changed so significantly from last year. The question is, you told me that you are now weighting the last few years heavier. Did
No.
that just change?
no, that's not even. So I do say the last few years are heavier in weight. I'm not sure why that is in this formula. I don't know the original formula.
Will you use the same tool?
It just would seem that I can't
Yeah,
prove that at this point.
I don't know what happened. I know you were looking at the 10-year to get kind of a broad spectrum to not have large increases and decreases. But like in the elementary school, there was a decrease projection over 10 years of 754 students. It just seems like a lot of kids, compared to the numbers
Right.
that I do.
Is the
the
rate-
10-year projection, the district numbers show the students increasing over approximately 200 students over the next 10 years, which makes it a 550 student difference from the SFD over 10 years, because your trend, I use birth rates and you use just the
cohort survival. And
so once you trend down, you just keep trending down. And
until
with
we have
that
more
huge,
data points to rate.
right, with that huge decrease, I don't know, from the trend that showed it really going up last year and continuing up to swinging flat to down for most all our cohort groups. It just seemed like a huge swing over a single year where basically the enrollment stayed flat.
So when we did talk on that, we did talk about these last 3 years, and that's why I suspect that this is why I'm saying that, is that I can't prove it. I've never seen the reading calculation on this, honestly, but When I go back and look at it, it would just seem, like you said last year, you know, and so I'm wondering if that's not the case. And so that's one of the things we look into.
Problem is you always are gonna peak, or like on, I don't know about this stuff, but like on the finance of budgeting projects, when we're going low, my costs are projected low. And when we shoot up, or the trend's going this way, my costs go above and then the market. So I'm always a little higher, a little low on this project.
I think this is actually very similar to that. And it's honestly, it's more mathematical computations. And I mean, obviously you're looking at birth rates, you're looking at other statistics like house starts and other items. And this doesn't incorporate that. This is simply numerical calculation on that.
So Dave, overall, how much were you up or down from 2016? What's at the bottom?
And remember, these are also, we excluded all the rural schools. So when we give your enrollment from the beginning, we get employers in there as well. So we had to separate those out and try them.
I mean,
we're
but I want to
on the
see a
year since
massive
16.
increase like 14 because I live in Cheyenne.
Well, I can
You know
just
what I
tell you.
They're right there.
We've been up 100, 200, almost 200 kids a year the last 3 years. And I know we've noted it in here, which your trend won't show, but if that base project comes to fruition, right, we're talking 600 to 1,000 kids in a very short period of time.
The missile stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, no, we'd be good. Yeah, that would be good.
I'll be really honest, it won't be good.
Not for us.
Because,
You're not ready.
Good for the economy in Cheyenne.
well, I'm just going to tell you, the system that we operate is very reactionary. So we've got to be way overcrowded, way over capacity before relief is offered up.
Right.
And we also know from the time the idea comes to the funding to walking in the door,
5 years.
5 years. So if we wait 3 years, in the fourth year, 500 kids show up. By the time we get that school open and built, the project may be done.
Right, it could be gone.
And I guess just a couple other things to note with regard to that. Cheyenne over the past 5 years has seen 350 homes built per year. And I think that's sizable, and that hasn't reflected in a huge number of at least elementary students, but I think at some point it's going to. Currently, over half, 52.5% of the available lots for development are in the East Triad. So the main focus is all east, which is going to certainly have an impact. But the east has experienced 25.8% of the growth over the last 10 years. The Central Triad, 21%, and the South Triad, just a little over 1%. So it's really been, at this point, central and east, but we see that shifting with some of the major developments in the south.
Is the Loomis going to be considered south of the district?
Yes, it will.
And that is somewhat counterintuitive to your approach, which made you look at district-wide. If you consider one triad, is actually got more students in it than all the 8 school districts in the state. So when you average across triads, they all are basically saying, let's just move those kids.
Right.
You know, and it's not good. Not good for kids, not good for families.
And along with that, Charlie, there is 2 attachments under B that Brad included the growth chart, the birth rate, and then the growth chart.
So you got your birth rates there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can see the birth rate, we aren't back up to peak, but for the last 3-4 years, we have been increasing. So I think
So you
that's
get
going
your these bottom year out. What is that, in 2013?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What's the retainage of those? Did it say?
85.
Yeah, and this is a county birth rate. So what we see is that 85.5% of those students show up, and that's a 5-year average, but 85.5% show up at the doorstep in kindergarten.
Yeah.
So, and then obviously, you never know about move in and move out, but the rest would be learning to keep. And then you can see in the next chart that you was talking about that the elementary students have, the line has decreased a little bit, and we anticipate that even going flat for a couple of years based on the birth rates, and then going back up and pretty much following the trend that we had before.
So here, let me go back to that first one here. So this is 2016, so 2021. You're looking at that chart, or starting to trend back up in 2019.
Yeah, about, it should remain fairly stable, much like your numbers show for a few more years, 2 or 3 more years. The difference is in what we're looking at versus what you're looking at is your trend line continues one direction or the other. Ours shows it flat and then trending back up.
Right.
So, just,
Yeah,
again, that's the
honestly,
way.
you know, so one of the things with that, you know, projection, as soon as you have more, the more numbers you put in, if that goes up, that trend will look right back up again.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. It's very easy to predict on that. So if you're right, you know, it's a difference in methodology.
And I think it's just something to kind of to remember that we have multiple situations going on where it does trend back up, and we end up with the additional students the district says that's another 550 kids over 10 years, and that's potentially a school or two. And then we add on to the base situation, and if that happens quickly, that would be in about the same year that the students would, in my opinion, would start trending up, because that will start in approximately 3 years. They're in a proposal mode right now.
The big stuff.
Right.
It's not immediate, but once they accept proposal of one of the 2 contractors, it'll hit the ground.
Right.
And my only caution would be, I know Charlie, referred to your methodology. I understand the methodology, but statute does say if you have more current and additional data points, the department can use that in their decision making. So I would just encourage you to listen to these other things and not focus solely on this, because if you do, we're all going to be in a huge reactionary mode. We're going to get caught up. So.
It's a fair point. Thank you. No, that's a very good point. You're right, because it does say that use the best data available, not rules. Great. Thank you for that one. So major maintenance calculations on allowable gross square footage is a nice topic. So every year we get the question, you know, how do you calculate a major maintenance payments? What are our main drivers? And so for your information, ADM, this is from 2015-16. We'll use the 16-17 when we actually will work, because of the statute change, we're going to have to work that out as well. So we're trying to work with WD to figure out what the next steps are for the next year's payment. Traditionally, what it has been in the past has always been the year previous for the ADM, which drives your allowable. Also, in that square footage total, you had numbers, our square footage that's backed out due to the, what's that? Lost my train of thought there for a second. 7-year phase, there we go. So you had square footage backed out due to that 7-year phase, and that has been repealed. And House Rule Act 18, that has been signed. So this year we have to figure out basically all the square footage that you guys weren't getting credit for in the past now, that was being phased in, will be put in. So it's going to be an interesting payment, but this is just from last year. So
The district actually has one of the smaller
they really
percentages.
do. And so, I mean, for you guys, to your credit, you know, you use, basically you've got everything, you're using everything you got, which means good things for your district. So
What's your idea on how to align this with the, Judy, what'd you write?
I didn't write anything.
You know, in this one, they were talking about how they basically go out and look at, you know, doing multiple projects under one bid, like if there's several roofs to be done, doing it once or items like that. That's, I'm not making any mistakes on that.
All right, again, attachment C refers to what our current project list is for this year. Doesn't mean we're gonna get everything on this list done.
That's your objective.
Yes. Attachment C.
I have attachments. Excuse me 1 second.
That allowable square footage, most of the overage, I believe, is in the middle school and the junior high.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to,
Yeah, there's a couple factors in there. The other one, so we withhold that stuff that was being phased in. We had to withhold that square footage. So that's the other gap. So there's a couple, you're right. Junior high is a little bit there. The other with withholding on the phase-ins. And then the other gap, we do have a gap in major maintenance, and that was what David alluded to earlier. You know, one of the things we did this past summer was trying to close that gap. So you're right, though, there is gaps in there. One of the biggest things for us moving forward is trying to make sure we find a way to close that gap. I'm going to pull this off so I can get your attachments.
There's actually 2 documents. One is the project list for this year. And the second one is the process in which we go about selecting our projects.
Okay, let's pull that up real quick for selection, how you guys go about it. And so let's, I mean, we asked every district this, so let's have you go over this, Judy and Dennis, you know, how you guys go about this, and maybe give us a brief summary on that.
So we included this in our plan last year. This was kind of an excerpt from the major maintenance, statewide major maintenance review. And basically, this is how our district has operated since day one in the planning construction office. With the disbursement of funds, whether they're from state major maintenance or capital construction or other funding sources that we receive, then we compile our list of needs, and similar to what the state does that we have been doing is we rate the condition of our facilities and which projects will take priority. And those are the ones then that are presented to the board for approval for funding for that fiscal year. The different categories of work: roofing, flooring, painting, exterior work, parking lots, concrete replacement, etc. We do always try to set aside 10% for enhancements or unforeseen conditions, so that emergency happens that we can address it. And then we state how, upon approval, that we proceed with soliciting services for architects and engineers, professional services, and then going out for bid and contracting and completing the project at the end. Finally, ending with the report on the 680 every year. And then back to the project sheet, the items listed in or highlighted in yellow are the ones that we currently have work orders for, whether they're in process or just now being planned, or they are the result of planned work orders for this year's facility plan. And they're all in AIM.
extremely thoroughly well done. This is so cool to see the district be able to go do this and be able to have everything lined out as well as you guys do. I appreciate that.
This is the model we're trying to implement statewide, but it failed.
We'll take feedback from our maintenance department throughout the year because they're dealing with components day in, day out, and they can tell us what's becoming a problem that may have to be replaced, in a year or two, as well as our own staff as they go out and looking at other projects and evaluating paving and roofing. That's how we kind of compile everything
Maintenance
together.
staff though, not teachers and parents and stuff, right?
No.
Yeah.
And this is, fantastic. You guys everything like that.
Hey Judy, when you prioritize, you look at the ones and twos and all that?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's, as you look at our list, the other, part of attachment C, our processes, it does say in there, the ones and twos, the assessment,
Mhm.
the annual assessment that's done, or the last assessment that was done. Like Dennis says, routine maintenance, the number of work orders that are in the system that are driving a roof replacement or a boiler replacement, how many calls our maintenance staff has to go out to these facilities for these different items.
It's not just ones and twos, though. There's other
Factors.
factors that go into it too. If the component is obsolete and it still works, it may rank a 4 or 5, but you can't get parts for it anymore.
True.
So those are things that we look at to be proactive and try to get those replaced ahead of time. Maybe bundle those with some other projects.
Dennis, did you put this together?
No. Together. Judy did a lot of this part here, but we go through this every year, basically listing all of our projects.
The reason I ask is this is more of an architectural engineering perspective. And the reason I said you ask parents because we've had other districts say, yeah, we get parents involved, get community.
But you have to remember, our district has been operating in this capacity for over 30 years. Before the inception of the schools facilities, before there were any assessments, we were doing our own. And it originated with, I think it was called the District Engineer's Office. Is that correct, Brad? And
So
when
it's
Brad
people that
came
had
on
that
board,
brain set though.
right,
Expertise.
that mindset, that's right.
You can tell.
Right, it's a completely different mindset. It varies so drastically across
It
the
does.
state. I mean, we've seen some where we've had districts, it's like, oh, it's just me and the business manager decide what we're going to do. It's like, wow. And so this approach where it's organized and everything like that. The one question I did have for you, do you guys use a computer maintenance management system as well, or do you is it all you?
It's all Judy.
It's all you guys, all her.
They have,
Venus has some programs that they're starting to use now.
right, and typically, I think right now they're using Sharewell, is that right, for their work order system?
It's just a constant collaboration between DOT, facilities, planning, and team lead, talking about where we are, what issues we're having, where we're headed, recommendations of what should be done. Sometimes we hit the mark, sometimes we have a few gaps, but.
What was the system that you're using?
Sharewell.
Okay.
Mhm.
I had not heard of that.
It's a Microsoft project.
Yeah, that's the first time I don't know if I've ever heard of Sharewell.
And I think that's a good thing for, to help us educate other districts on other items out there that could assist them in their management. That's what it's nice to hear those.
Yeah, I would tell you from facility and another district is using the school.
Yeah, which I think is the
Um,
most
it's
popular.
probably, we went with Sharewell because of the Department of Technology angle of it and how they use it as well. And we wanted a one-stop shop for all the work orders.
How long do you have it, Dave?
Like 3 or 4 years. But I would tell you from the facility maintenance side, I think school would be more easy for our folks. But again, we wanted to make sure at the school level they could put one system. So I mean, we audited some stuff and looking at maybe change, I know that they'll approached the idea of statewide building school, so if they did, we would probably like to try and transition it from DOT.
We've investigated a few, we've heard of, I've never heard of Cherville before, but, you know, school do the Akita box, a couple of others. Medicissa, which is what the University of Laramie uses. So there's a few out there we looked at.
It didn't get funded though, so back to ground zero. So at least you guys got something.
And prior to that, we had a, one quarter system on, SAP, which was Sapphire, which was our system that we were using then.
Now, that's the major square footage, so continue to charge over here. So let's talk a little bit about Polaire Academy. So right now, there are a couple items, so you guys are extended through 2023 on the charter.
Yeah, but we have a copy. That's the one right there where the board approved it.
Yes, right here.
That's the most latest, we gave you from inception to the latest.
So we have all
Okay.
the records, thank you.
After I read through that, it was, I could see why it was a nightmare to find it all, so, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for getting that to us.
That includes pass.
Pass was not included on this.
Well,
because
it's
Pass
called
is still-
Polaire.
Polaire
Academy,
is,
right, Dave? Pass is their
Polaire Academy
their
Secondary School. Right.
Pass is still in its program stage, so it is not official charter at this point.
And
They're still.
isn't it approval for 21-3-1-10 in
So they have to go through 3 years of operation.
19? Yeah, when's their third year?
So we're in, this was their first year, so we're in year 1. So they have 2 more years where,
Then they hit it.
and I'm not as familiar with this, but this is, from what I've gathered, they have 2 more years of operating, and then they get recognized by WD at that point.
So they haven't hit it.
No,
Cool.
they haven't yet. We're still, yeah, very early phases of that one. Okay. But thanks for getting that out for us. And just making sure that we ask the question, there's no space currently in your buildings for that. Okay. Make sure we acknowledge that.
Jam them in the middle school, Brett?
All right, so we do want to point out one other thing real quick. I know that the money does flow through, so with that, in the House Rule Act 62, the charter school lease amount is in there and contingent upon a signature, and then it'll flow right through you guys. Leases for that, so you know that.
Yeah, I was gonna work with Mike, because Mike sort of got left out last time. So he'll be coming to the facility planning. meeting.
Yeah, we've already had discussion, we were passing these papers back and forth.
Yeah. I think we got it.
Mike was nice to visit with him on April.
So then how does that, I just kind of for my own edification, how does that work for you guys for past? Like I know that they're in year 1. Will they have to come to you after 3 years, or when do they come to you guys for a charter?
Double back with them every year.
After 3 years, okay.
Because they provided me something that showed that the board approved it. Because I wanted that to put for backup of the budget. That's why I was wondering if that was it. Or what.
I couldn't tell you. honestly.
Yeah,
They be the expert on
I
that.
think in year 2, when they report in, within year 2, it became their documents and the district reports, and make sure it's meeting us during that public hearing.
Any other questions, comments on the charter?
No, I think I got it all.
Okay, thank you. So moving here, all school, Triumph High School. Anything we need to know? Everything good? So, moving on to condition. So you guys are well familiar with this, with this graph here. And, FEA provided this to us in 2016. And just more than anything, just talks about the lifespan of the building. And more for reiteration. how you guys go about maintaining the building during its lifespan, which ultimately leads to these scores. This is the first page of the scores. In the looking across here, this is what we have statewide. That's just the first page. And then for your district in particular, we have that lined out for the highest needs on those.
Dave, which school you in and remodel on this summer?
Back in the room, Buffalo Ridge.
That's the little one with the pie, cheap land we walked. We walked. So.
Buffalo Ridge has brand new parking lot.
Buffalo Ridge does have brand new parking lot. It's so it's right off of Windmill. I didn't know it.
Pine Ridge.
Pine Ridge, thank you. I was like, man, I was blanking on the Ave.
North of the numbers.
North of the Yeah. Yeah, that's the best
It's
way
right
to
near
put that.
Behind sign.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep. So no, my daughter actually went to Buffalo Ridge for her first grade year. Good little school. Liked it a lot. But anyways, so and obviously then you have your ancillary buildings. So I do have one question for you. So Miller Elementary School, they still have classes in the admin building and then the story for. Okay. Yeah, because that's a tiny school.
Yeah, they're just across the street.
Yeah,
Basically.
I thought it was interesting that we have it listed at 90-some %.
I think I looked at that one again. Yeah, there's only 4 classrooms in that entire building. Yeah, one of the small ones. So, I did read your note here, and so kind of to talk about that right now, currently in our budget, or what in House and Roll Act 62. Hold on, that real quick. And again, thank you for running all these out and really listing all these. I had read through these previously, and if you guys want to give an update or summary of that, you can as well.
Is that each school, all the
Right.
elements?
So yeah, they talk about the ones that, specifically the .4s and above, in this, and a lot of the things that are going wrong with the buildings and the ages of those buildings.
And current bills out there have taken 10 million out of that and 17 million available. Right, out of 7 million.
Yeah.
So I don't know what your plan is for addressing these, I call them the big 8. It's the 3 projects on that list.
Right, and so actually let's talk about that right now. So I wanted to pull this up real quick. So for House and Rolled Act, this is what it says. Basically, it just says for these, they give you guys a pool of money, 7.1 million. And basically what we would like to do is we need to set up further meetings to be able to start working with what we're going to do. So it's that we would work with you guys and we would make sure that we got this expended towards these buildings.
So Dennis, you've already got the building and the elements.
But I'd like to know what's the department's, what's going to be your approach to this to determine what works done.
So honestly, I can't answer that. I don't know. Brandon would be a
The
little.
component level
Talk
major
more.
maintenance. We have a process for components. So then you go to those buildings, and Dennis was just saying, and you say what components is failing. Or under watering, 1s, 2s, needs addressed. And how can we deploy money out to fix it?
But why,
So,
why
or maybe not.
some of these?
Well, so I just want to point this out. So we hear this term asset preservation thrown out. Okay? And I think this district has demonstrated that they believe in asset preservation. We've got several buildings that we've come in and we have put large sums of money in to bring them up and to preserve them. And yes, I wish we would have attached the article as an attachment. But we look at an article that was written here recently that talks about asset preservation of a building that was built with high quality materials. just throwing up, these cheap materials, whatever it is, we're not gonna hurry, it's not necessarily been that route. So take a Buffalo Ridge. When I looked at the 17 million you had budgeted for the eight, we averaged about $83 a square foot. Give or take. Okay, we're putting $158 a square foot into Buffalo Ridge, and we're not even addressing restrooms. So what we're doing is we're dealing with the components and we're dealing with the accessibility, which at last meeting we had with y'all here, we talked about you deal with accessibility when you come in and you renovate or replace. So again, with these eight, to go in and put that money into a building that is not suitable, that has many more issues than what the components have. I mean, even the community system couldn't have that. So what we want to do is make sure we're working together, not against one another. And we do it in a deliberate fashion, but we preserve a building for longevity, not for a few years. That makes sense? I mean, we can go in and do finish them. And I looked at the work that, the spreadsheet you gave us. A lot of windows, finishes, carpet paint, some abatement, but toilet partitions, sinks, but not truly addressing how this building is going to help educate kids. So to me, if you're going to do this, you're going to do it right. We pick one or two buildings and do it right. I mean, the rest of these buildings are being given life. They've got many issues that FDA didn't document because they just weren't that way. So how do we work together to move forward? Who wants to answer? I know it's a short question.
No, let me ask you this, go up to their school.
Sure,
List of
talk about
schools.
So let's roll through. We have,
No, their needs index.
oh, you want to go to needs index? Yes, we can do that.
Yes,
Of just their schools.
when you took your, I think one of the items I believe in for asset preservation is when a building gets to its half-life and the mechanical, a lot of other things, need replaced, then you put money in it to preserve it. You start at 30 years and you put money in to preserve it and make it functional for the next 30. Dennis, do you remember at all off the top what you spent at like Anderson and Afterlaw to do those years?
$5 million.
A couple suburbs each.
So,
Phased.
So it was, yeah.
so, and that was a while back, so even with the smaller schools.
Buffalo Ridge is $1 million.
Yeah, so that's about what we're looking at to bring a school up to standards and hopefully not just throw money making it look better, but have it be a functional school for the next 30 years, which I think is the target when you put that kind of money into it.
So from an architectural engineering perspective, I would just say, well, what do you think?
Well, costs in our text, we've noted, we've already addressed a lot of the items through our major maintenance. We've done some painting, some carpeting, some plumbing, toilet partitions.
So major maintenance is addressing that one, maybe.
Right.
Are they,
The next one, or what's next?
so then Hobbs, which, let's go back up there.
Yeah, just click on the list of visual.
Hobbs.
Hobbs.
Hobbs right here.
It says right there, rank 6 on the list. If you look at the paragraphs, we got them all.
Let's go back. That way we just.
So of the 7 million, Dave, what would you spend
Not in Hobbs.
on Hobbs?
No.
Really?
Gildan was number 8.
The Gildan has been added on so many times that has enough solid bones and structure that we can do.
Got it.
And that list also included adding 5 classrooms on the Hobbs.
I mean, no, but in the component commission directive, that was in that other, when they were going to spend money on money.
Yeah,
But
they
Hobbs, you've got a gym, and they run 3 or 4 lunches because they can't get all the kids on it. And it is undersized by, it says they're running thousands of kids. So,
Yeah, I'd say, it says that we have to, I think it says that's being a facility plan, put together a plan, present it to Sheldon, and
Buffalo Ridge, we're going in, we're taking out the old windows.
Yeah.
Reducing the amount of glass. We're also making the walls thicker and insulating them. So you comply with the current energy codes. You can't do that just by going in and replacing windows and office. That just doesn't work.
You know, so listen, Dennis, you know, Lawson, Falcon Ridge, some of them are to be addressed with major maintenance. These are being addressed here, here, and here. This one's not. This is what we do. And I think we have to, just thinking from a finance, I don't have an engineering expertise, but we get the plan identified, and it goes. I think it has to be in your facility plan, and it goes to commission, and then we can get some projects going.
So where is it in the school SFD's facility plan?
It's in the statute, doesn't it? For Campbell,
It says this SFD will submit a plan in conjunction with the district.
And so that's one of the things we need to talk
says for
about as well.
projects identified in district's facility plan.
Right. No, it also talks about that we have, you guys prepare it,
Yeah, but I'm not an architect.
right? Yes.
We could work. Well, that's where you work together.
So here's
Get the
what,
right people.
so let's here's the note real quick for you guys. So basically, this is what Troy and Shelby had said on this one. The SFD is hereby giving the district additional time to modify this facility plan in order to submit its requests as identified above. The requests will be forwarded to the commission for consideration and approval, and so what it says in the statute language there. And for component level requests, the SFD has approved the following guidelines. It gives those, but we wanted to do additional follow-up meeting with this for that purpose in particular.
So before the main meeting, so it's
Right, so we
March.
need to
So
get-
we got.
So here in the next little bit here, we need to work to get this lined out so we can get this product.
Well, then what I'd ask is, under your notes, just note that we are currently in the process of reevaluating every facility in the district. Through that evaluation, we will be redeveloping our long-range facility plan. And I don't know if it's going to be by May, because I've got to get it from the board. So
They're just saying if we want to take that in May, that's when their requests are due. If we,
it won't come in May. How's that?
that's fair. No, that's fair, and that's
I
just
mean,
the
we
note
want to
for
be
you.
deliberate.
Yeah.
How
How about June?
I don't know.
Here's.
I can tell you right now, this work's not gonna be done this summer.
Yeah,
We're
correct.
We are maxed, so.
No, and I think more than anything on that note, he just wants to say if you do want to go for the district in May, that, or the commission May, that's what you have to do. So, but this is not saying you have to do that. We're saying that we need to do it, we need to get it done.
But what I hear you saying is, in no way, shape, or form will we address that suitability in doing this.
Like when you start touching it, you spending this $7 million. I think components are outlined there. Something like major maintenance. So when you spend major maintenance, do you address, do you have an impact on the suitability?
Well, I can
Paint,
tell you the money
Of course we
we're,
do.
money we're spending on Buffalo Ridge is making maintenance money. It will address the suitability. So that's all I'm asking. Yes.
Well, we'll find out when the plan gets put together, man.
Would you like to pull up the work order
I-
ending for Buffalo Ridge renovation?
I would like to have a little direction before I have these folks spend all the time to go into the plan. I mean, that's hours and time and energy, but then come back and then that's drawing board. So I'd like, I mean, if what we're doing at
That's
Buffalo Ridge,
119,151.
is what you guys are talking about, I think we can develop a plan of Buffalo Ridge as well.
And can it be limited to one or two buildings to make them suitable?
Well, you have to go and click on, this is the thing I think about this, go ahead and click on edit,
Can't go in unless it's
so you
reservation.
can see all the additions
Yeah, or even want to, Fairview.
on the number, yeah. So there it is, Brandon.
That's it?
There is Buffalo Ridge and all the components outlined. And all the modifications that have been made to the original work order since
There's 30.
So it can't be done.
design.
That's pretty cool.
Well, the only way you can see it is that you have to click on the work order number for edit. And there's the total budget. And I tried to associate the line for each of the lines that were added.
Yes, you did.
So Judy, is your schedule of values sort of you're essentially building the schedule of values on a project? Is that how you did it?
I don't build the schedule value, the contractor does.
Right.
This is just based off of the, construction estimate for when we put it out for bid.
Yep.
And all the components that we'll be addressing, the major components we'll be addressing. I didn't do every little bitty thing.
No.
Very cool.
So as you can see, and the budget has increased now, it's over a $5.5 million project. Because this includes design, it includes the abatement, it includes the air monitoring, it includes the construction, and whatever incidentals that are in there. So,
Is it out to
the
bid?
major ones. It's awarded.
Did you go CMAR?
No, never do that again, ever.
It's hard to,
So, this one, actually, gonna start the spring break. It's gonna be done in November next year. So we're already doing this
Oh, it's the same thing with storage and renovation.
that
And
should
we've
be,
updated the one from last year on McCormick.
You guys need to say.
So you guys aren't touching that $7 million yet?
well, we have to,
We haven't been appropriated.
Right, that's why we were doing the extended meeting, if you were going to.
can we still try to save
No.
money? Try to do
We're
it.
just like, we prepared this without the knowledge of anything
At the moment,
as
where
where
you
it's right. And we're still not done with legislature, so we don't know.
Have some space available.
Unfortunately.
Right.
Right, and so know what, we do need to go through that exercise, and I'll work with you on that. We'll work to get that coordinated. And lots of decisions that have to be made on that as well.
You guys, sounds like you're hooked up this summer already.
Yeah.
To add this another $7 million.
If they're not by now, the ship's sailed.
Exactly.
No, it's the next summer. You got it.
Yeah,
And that's kind of like, we'll talk about when we get to the other component.
yes, absolutely. So we'll work in conjunction with you guys to get that set up. Moving on, we've talked a lot about the major maintenance. These are just your graphics for this past year. This is the balance as of June 30, 2017. And these were the projects that were completed in the 2016-17 fiscal year. Just break down of that for records.
Did a lot of abatement.
Everywhere you go, you find that stuff.
You want to talk about asset preservation?
Last year, if you look at that first bar, that was way high, because that was paving
Yeah.
parking lots.
I remember
because
that
we had
actually.
no bids the year before that, nobody bid on our project, so we had all of those deferred and bunched up.
Yeah.
And now this year, it's a lot of maintenance.
And so then also just gives you a by building breakdown of that as well. And then, we have talked about your low condition scores, how you use that, and thank you for getting this filled out. And really, the process that you guys use, get that all sorted out. Very dynamic and very in-depth, so I won't spend too much time talking on this at this point. So then this piece always wanted just in there, this is just kind of anticipation where you guys are at, and just more for an illustration piece. Your major maintenance, this was just based off the assumption it's going to be the same for this year. Right now, like I said, I don't have any idea with all the statute changes and everything.
It'll go up a little bit.
It'll go up some.
Because the RS means we're at 169.
Right, and that's what we base our,
Yeah.
on every year too, is what our previous years was.
Right, and so we got this point, we assume that it will go up a little bit.
Yeah, the only thing that'll change, they'll get 70% during July, and then they'll get the last bit in September. Which is probably tighten up.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed about that, but,
That one's gonna be an interesting exercise.
well, prior to your employment with, schools facilities, probably yours too, Brandon, I don't know if you remember, but we did have 2 payments per year, one in July and one in October,
Okay.
and it was 50/50. So it was kind of hard to,
Bills.
Cash flow.
yeah,
So what was the intent then? Because now it's to get the latest and greatest data.
That's how you got out of business, because you didn't have the manpower.
to crunch
I
the
really
numbers,
can't
or-
tell you, but then they went to the
Then it's easy.
one-time July 1st payment, and that worked good,
But-
because it
Can you
allows
got-
for
can
the
you
cash
do
flow of
that?
the projects to be,
What is it?
you know, we have to start right as school's out, right? We only have 10 weeks to do our major maintenance projects for the
Right.
summer.
Well, that summer construction season is pretty jam-packed.
Right. So hopefully that's not gonna hurt it too much.
Everybody just want extra money.
So then, real quick, these are the orders, work orders that you have in there. System, thank you for getting those cleaned up, for being on top of that.
And then another attachment D, or excuse me, following attachment. D, where are my work orders?
There's plenty.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's not an attachment, it's tab 2,
Okay, I'm like saying.
excuse me, tab 3. And,
There we go.
that has our,
Delivers and closed.
yeah, the major maintenance in blue. In the notebook. And they're also in here as attachments to the facility plan, or included with facility plan. Just so you guys know, the items in red are the ones that are put on because of facility plans. 16, 17, 18, what have you. Ones in black are the ones that are actually in process or orders. And the ones in green have to do with our component projects. And then the green sheets are our capital work orders, which I do have a question about that, if somebody can help me. All these are sitting out there under review. Every single capital order, whether a project, Prairie Wind's done, Davis is done, Metal Art's done, but they've never been approved. So why do we need to put on a capital order if they're not gonna be reviewed, evaluated, and approved?
So it's a work order for those big projects?
Yes. Go take a look.
Yeah. It's something in the statute. So I remember, it says you had to have a work order or something.
Yes.
And I also recall somebody saying, well, they have to, it was pretty minor to put that in the budget. And a few years back, either Troy or somebody was interim as well. So when Stan was still here, it was back in that era. So
So
those are still open, Judy?
I posed that question to Amber, and she said she didn't know that maybe we
Yeah.
should talk about it here.
It's JJ and I put it on the task list.
And
Yeah,
with
so-
JJ, I know Janet is doing the same work order classes with those that need refreshers and that, and I think I also visited with her that may be a potential thing for us to address in that too.
Because my gut says, like, say, we have a project, Davis, we have the work order, I put in the number for the budget, it's appropriated in the database, you turn it on, attach the money to it. I can see that, but we'll have to see if that's the intent.
Right, so, well, that's what I thought it was on there for, so
Yeah.
that when it was approved, that the work order flowed into the budget, and the budget reflected the work order, associated with the work order. I did go in and update all the ones for the modular leases, so they're in there, and I do try to clean this up every year as they're completed, whether, they're through your system or not.
I'm gonna add that on the list for.
Yeah, we need to look
Yes.
into that and see what's going on with that.
Right, some of these go back, years.
Yes. It's true.
So, open work order for capital
For
projects.
capital projects.
Okay. We'll look at that
If you go onto the, desktop dashboard of AIM, I don't know about you guys, but I have it to where I have mine. So I have so many sitting in review, so many sitting in approve, so
Yeah,
many sitting in.
Mine's different than that. That's,
Yeah,
I think the project managers have that view. I don't get to see that one.
We've got it
yeah,
back.
and
Yeah, that's kind of.
Yeah.
Has to happen, no.
so even though, like I said, ones that have been, are done or expended, they're still showing out there in review.
No, that's a great question. So next, let's talk about the component projects. We know that, so still again in House Rule back 62, we had the two that here that.
Well, we have 3, but only 2 were approved.
Only 2 were approved, right, 1 through 16, we're in that House Rule Act. So we didn't know that those 2 are out there so far, just waiting on them to get signed. When he does, that money is available immediately. So we should be able to get that turned around fairly quickly.
And we'll probably take this one for freedom, not resubmit it as a component, but roll it over to a major maintenance project, because we have to get it done. We can't wait no more, because it'll be another 2 years.
Right, I understand.
How about those, are you gonna do those this summer, too?
If we can, based on manpower.
Alright,
But-
Well, estimated over 8 million just for this summer.
in major maintenance.
So,
But those can those be done during the course of the year?
somewhat, but their pricing is based on normal look hours. And so I don't know if we can.
Interrupt classes, scope.
I think if you look up last year's facility plan, the component sheets are on there, and I think it had the estimated time on there, but I'm sorry, I don't have it with me.
No, I can't remember off the top of my head either. It's been a while.
Like several weeks.
Yeah. And hopefully not during heating season.
The other thing on this task list, then I'll write down the components or what to do with that. Remember you wrote it down, should I put it on the task list?
Yes, please. I'm on notes.
Alright, most of this is stuff that they compete. I don't know what his workload is for the summer. If he wants to get
Can I
it done.
modify that existing work order
Get them done.
from component to major maintenance?
I've heard of it.
I believe so, and if you and I can't figure it out.
Dave, how about
JJ,
I'll set up kickoff
Michael
meeting
usually
for
can work on that.
component funding?
So, work through Michael. I'll do that one.
If Michael can't, we'll escalate it to JJ.
Okay.
Yeah, work through those areas.
I think we should.
There's an ability to do some of that stuff.
Because I know when I went and approached JJ, your questions and stuff, that's fine.
And so more,
Seven.
more than anything, we just want to remind you guys as well. So for this year, I know you have a few that you had listed down there. I'm gonna pull those up. The deadline is September 15th to get them in. And we'll be happy to go take them through the process. So,
Yeah, and then tab 4, I just basically put the little sheets for them. I don't have them completely filled out yet, because we don't have the costs.
But you're in the process.
but you're in the process, right? No, this is perfect. Yeah, as soon as you get those costs, we'll get them in there and make sure that these are considered for the next go round.
Mainly controls issues, huh?
And a roof has a component, right?
You can. Boilers, roads,
Really?
you know, parking lots.
And
Cement.
maybe,
There's
Yeah.
a roof right there, Judy, look at number 4.
Because you don't know.
Montclair Middle School roof.
Yeah, but we can't wait 2, 3, 4 years to replace the roof. It's usually needing it now,
All of them back to back.
and then you find out you don't get approved, so.
yeah, no, that's exactly right. It always is a gamble, if you don't plan on this one. And we've told that to several districts, and that's exactly right. It's true. You're basically are gambling on that. So, and the last 2 years it's paid off, and in many other instances it hasn't. So I can understand trepidation. And so then, just, again, showing the notes here, you know, these are the two that are out there. The asterisk mean that they are on the governor's signature. And that money usually takes about 10 days for us to get the money after the signature. I found, I don't know if that's completely true in all cases, but it's about that much.
There's a process.
There's a bit of one,
Yeah, we had an experience with Opie. When we did that, funding was supposed to be available July 1st. We didn't get it until, was it 90 days in there? It was appropriated on July 1st. I think it got in the hands of the SFB July 15th, but we didn't get it. It was like 90 days after the start, we were supposed to start the project.
I can't, unfortunately, I
I know.
can't speak to that one, but
I know.
I'm just talking from last year, we were able to get it fairly quickly. It seems like our budget process, once we get it turned around quite a bit.
The bigger question is if we were able to work it in, start immediately, and what it was appropriated, yeah, but not in the budget now. We start with the work prior. Could we still get?
No,
No.
Yeah, man. Okay, hey, let me make clarification. You have to follow you're fortunate enough to get the money, you get to follow the SFC procurement policies. Because it's a commission funded that comes through the bill. So once it hits the bill, boom, all the commission stuff.
You're telling me that it's available immediately. You're telling me that I still can't start to look until you give me the money.
Until it's down, that's right.
Yeah, you still have to go through, what is it,
So
policy?
So it's not
So you're
available
saying to
immediately.
me, so you just said we
No.
can start right away, it's available immediately, it's not available until we get it in the account. Correct.
Yeah, available immediately upon when the money's put into the account. And then you gotta go through the commission's process.
I understand the state's going through a new system.
You know, you can't jump the process. And districts ask me, Brandon, what triggers I gotta go through this process or not? And when it comes through a bill,
So
then
what
it's a
commission process needs to be occurred here after it's already submitted to the committee, approve the legislature's approved.
commission approved contract has to be on there. The Michael gets to do it now and encumber the funds and all that.
So we'll do it next summer.
Yeah.
You guys can't get kicked out that time. You know.
Gee, I would, I don't know, man.
It will sit on someone's desk somewhere, but that's the whole. Okay.
Fair enough.
But just so you know, you have to follow the commission's process.
I know that.
Yeah.
Very good. So then basically for us, you know, just going real quick what happened for us and biggest changes. So the House Enrolled Act 18, you know, the repeal of the 7-year phase-in, and it'll adjust the major maintenance payment end when it comes out, and then the code items that we mentioned earlier. House Enrolled Act 17 basically just clarifies the emergency statutes and how it can be used on the building and facilities, and also requires commission approval of disposal of buildings.
They always did require that. It's just now that they've taken the final say away from the districts.
House Enrolled Act 5 adds, well, basically we add another division to our department now. Everyone in this room is in operations. So we serve both sides of the house, and so we now get to now just basically clean up our accounting.
That and it allows the director to put the key resources where he needs them. So if you're doing a specific job, he may pull Billy Holmes or a different project manager that has that expertise versus Michael.
Does it keep your funding separate?
Yeah, it's separate in the operations.
So you're saying then that we would be looking at something different than our budget.
You could, yeah. Let's say,
You guys don't see that as a potential hindrance if we're just interacting with one person on all our
We
projects.
lose continuity is what we have.
you could, but you know, I'm on both sides of the table too. I mean, I may switch there in a minute and go work on other state
Right.
projects. But
I just don't see any delays in that. This was project managers.
you shouldn't. I mean, the opportunity of switching just willy-nilly is, for example, Lance is on the healthcare project, and that's a 3-year, $150 million project. So once a guy's on it, he's riding it. So he's done. He's not gonna just, I don't think the director would just pull Lance off there and ship him to.
More than anything, the intent was so that way we spend a lot of dollars working for both divisions, basically help the, rather than
Yeah, all of us are already doing it. I mean, we're on both sides of the table already.
both on, so. And then, basically right now, House Roll actually confused on the desk, we don't know, see when he signs that. So Brandon, I'll turn this over to you for 2019.
It's a supplemental budget. That's the main part here for me. Unanticipated needs, any other projects that would go into the budget for the office select commission, select committee, governor, JC. What do you see on your side? Do you see any needs? That's capacity, condition, or security, you know.
Based on your current technology, they know.
Dave, I can only operate in the box. You know the process.
And so what I'm saying is we're not committing whether we have needs or not until we figure out where we're going to be on that issue. Because if you interpret capacity, the way education as a statute, then it's a very different conversation we're having than the district's trying. Okay, so as we stand today, no, but that can change.
Yeah.
Does it change? Yeah, I can see something
Right. So, you know, what I would do is we look at the capacity, the conditions, we address that with the 7 million. And then the next biennium, we go through and see what we look forward to getting. You know, the 21, 22. So no, I will not put anything in the budget.
So I was gonna say, this is actually,
I said don't close the recording.
no, yeah, we can, let's take a 5-minute. And we'll reconvene here. Actually, about 10 after. So,
This is the last item.
now we're actually on the home stretch.
Fine, finish. I gotta go to the bathroom.
Yes, God, some people might be able to hold it out for hours.
You've never done lunch duty, I can tell.
No, I've not done that.
So, well, 92 passed.
It's a-
Wasn't too much longer after, the bill came in, that was part of the transition plan. I think we did a little bit of tenant improvements over here, some of the office space. We had to remove a couple agencies to different places, and it is all in the one room, so. I think it's great, you know, we're building a building, it's, you know, doing the same, getting consistency.
Right, both departments kind of work together.
You gotta be the same, it helps, obviously. With technology, you don't have to be next to each other, but to create a true synergy, continuity, one.
Well, it's a well-kept secret because
The building,
you guys even over here was, I asked, where are they? Oh, they're on this floor now. Oh, no, they're still up there. I go them back and forth and then somebody says, nah, they're not even here.
that's funny,
Nobody knows you moved.
yeah. Yes, I like it, it's been good. You know, there's a learning curve on understanding both sides of the house and the processes. But the principles are the same. You got public funds coming in, you got a project to build. So, Dennis, how long you been in the school district?
23 years.
Same role the whole time?
Brad was in this position when I first started.
Oh, really? 23 years ago?
He'd been in for several years before that. 90 or 89.
88. 14 and a half years.
In his position. And then what'd you do?
Well, went out on my own,
Okay.
dropped into this place for a while.
Yeah.
Nothing major.
And then went in more of the consulting side. And the SF, or the state construction department. Huh.
So that actually brings us up to the last section here. The items that we haven't talked about in the facility plan. Anything that you'd like to address at this time?
Page 68, guys.
Page 68 for,
In our book,
okay, it moved down forward.
yeah,
Page,
since you,
it's in the 80s. Let's
yeah,
put
you
that.
added the SFD notes, which we don't have in ours.
Yeah, once I recorded.
Right.
We'll get those sent over to you.
But once you get to page 80s, into your notes. 3 unique issues, ideas, and concerns to run today up.
All right, we'll go ahead and turn the time over to you guys for that. Any items you'd like to discuss on this?
Well, obviously, I think we've kind of gone down through this. Is real similar to what we submitted annually about where the district is. I mentioned earlier, we're in the process of reevaluating and reassessing facilities. Finally, we sit down with the board and solidify our long-range plan. You know, biggest concern, obviously, I'm going to talk a little bit about the anomalies in enrollment and projected growth, and you know, the biggest concern is that the base project comes through, knowing the gradual trend toward reacting. You know, there's a concern there, so hopefully, you know, the department and the commission and the select committee understand that if that hits, it's going to be kind of all at once. And will have a major impact not just on the district, but all of Cheyenne. And in general, I'm a little worried about what it's going to mean in terms of cost of construction if you're going to swallow, you know, that much labor. I don't know, we don't know how much, I mean, our conversations with the base liaison and with their folks is they anticipate there will be a lot of non-military folk, which means you're not going to have growth in the one part-time study all over town. So obviously that's something that we keep an eye on, but could tip everything we get into a volunteer. You know, providing the donor signs and carrying those forward. I will tell you that our immediate reaction to some major influx like that would be that we would use carriers fallback because you're just not going to be able to get an elementary in place in time. Obviously, you know, with Brad and Chris's work, we know that we look at how we've got some shifts in population around town. Some areas are growing at a much some are actually shrinking. So we'll keep an eye on that. As I said, you said over again, the idea of looking at district-wide capacity does not address individual issues. We have 5 modulars, say, in our elementary. To say I've got one at Miller Elementary, that's just not an appropriate way to address that. So, but we'll continue to see whether we're 25 in K6 or where we are, and whether it's really matters or not. We're not good, but it's going to fall on the wayside. So there are just issues like that all over town, and I would tell you that this department and the district, we really strongly being stewards of state funds as well, and that's why you may see in some areas we being fight against you guys money, because we don't see it as a light expenditure. Sometimes we will even ask to spend it a different way because we think there's more economical. So hopefully you guys understand that fully well. Just trying to get numerate because I know the legislature that's it. But we do see the potential moving forward, and obviously you got to work with the board and boards forever ebb and flow. But there's a potential that some of our smaller schools may combine and collapse. I know it's in the plan here. And that we look at more than just on the major maintenance and capital side. We also have to look at the operation side and the general fund side. So, our figures, we've got some schools that are averaging $16,000, $17,000 to educate per child, and I've got some that are down around the $9,000. So obviously, general fund side we look at. So I don't know if there's anything additional to what we put in here that are concerns. Obviously, we see the need to continue to address some of the elementary growth. We get the influx, I think we've got the capacity to handle the junior high, and that's just kind of a hard one to really say are you at capacity or not, because you go to capacity, but the shop class and then the capacity of the top class. So that's just it's a very different beast. So, anything else? Okay.
I think we'll just have to work on that commission directed component list.
Yeah.
And what is the true intent of that list? Because to me, it looks like it's directed at just pushing the score down. Like if you did components at Hobbs, it pushes it down to ranking of 200 and something, which is equivalent to another school across the state that's only 10 years old. And Hobbs is 58 years old. So it's truly not equivalent to another school of the same score.
Yeah, so on that, we're having these facility planning meetings earlier because we did merge, state construction, so there's a lot of parts coming in to meet all these requirements. You got to get to the select committee. We have to get to the commission on the school side. We got to get the state building commission, both in July. Then they both go off to the governors and IBARs on September 1st, and then JAC and all that. The way that it's written, it says it should be in your facility plan. We'll have to see when the meeting comes, but I don't think, this is just me speaking from my gut, we can get the plan put together and polish it in the facility plan to meet all these milestones. It's going to be challenging. So,
I'd like to clarify for you, I think, the way to look at this is the statute says facility departments, facility plan for the district. Okay?
yeah.
We may very well have a very different facility plan, but we've shown a better little flow chart of how we think we do things. But you're still going to list your things by condition, capacity. Sure, that's the way you do it. So I don't know why in your portion of the facility plan you can't just say we're going to work in conjunction with districts to address schools of greatest need.
and we'll report back to you.
Exactly.
I'm thinking more of me getting the annual reports done and to the committee respective.
But it's, even for us, I feel like it's a much more involved process because I will go back to if we sit there and it's spending the money in the right place, I think we're all going to be on board and we're going to put hands much forward. But if it's something that, I mean, I have an issue spending $2 million on a school that is, beyond repair, end of life, floodplain, those other things that, if we could spend that money better in the first place. And that's just where we are. So hopefully, if you put it that way, and we finish our analysis, we pieces around and come back to the plan.
I will set something up. I'm just thinking of how to get that done.
Yeah.
To get all 48 annual reports approved, to get the budget submitted and get it in
If you read that in a general sense, that we're going to make the district, we're going to look at the top,
That might work.
okay? But then when we report back, I think we put the miles.
And on that, in that respect, do we need to submit a letter to the commission, or is that going to be done through this office?
For those
To put it
projects.
before the commission?
We'll put something together and then you get to write a letter and get on the commission list probably. But we got a lot of footwork to do before.
So then the next thing on this building ready summary, and then that's the bigger districts to fill it out. We want to be here to talk first, and obviously we kind of want to finish the work we're doing. Like one front. So if you're okay, we can do this. They just need to give actually a conversation we have.
Kind of gives an outline for going forward.
So I just wanted to show you a quick example of what Natrona did, what we're looking at. Not anything exorbitant, it's more for us. So.
Example down.
Okay.
There, thank you. So I'm just tuning for Natrona. So this is basically what we're looking at. And that way, when we go through your facility plan, it's kind of a good summary for us, and this is what we're asking for. Just to list that down.
But you gave some good examples, which I gave in terms of a floodplain area. It wouldn't be ideal going forward to continue on. Some of those other things could be identified in the notes to support why you're going forward with that as a decision. But then it puts it in a perspective. We can sort it all and be able to bring up which ones are all mothballed or all whatever.
So Amber, this is by building,
Correct.
This is by their buildings.
Right.
year,
Yeah.
and then keep it with maintain it with major maintenance or
Right.
liquidate.
And so that's what, this is basically what we're looking at.
And proposed remedies were just at least the generic ideas of what we normally go through, but if there's something else that's out there that fits better.
So who has eyes on the document?
Right now, it's just internal.
So if it stays internal, I think we're more comfortable. And here's the issue we have. So obviously, when my folks, whether it be on the facility side or the routine maintenance or genocide, we look at things in a very black and white, non-political sense. So if we anticipate down the road this is a school that should be closed for whatever reason, and this goes public or goes to the legislature, so you see my heartburn. And these are things that we look at and we brainstorm, and of course my board changes occasionally, and maybe somebody who gets on only affect a school or a neighbor. So that was our reluctance to just put this on now, because we do know how we can save the district and the state money. But I also know I like my job. I mean, it does conflict.
No,
These are not political.
That's a fair point, and I think
So-
you make an actually very good point on that. Absolutely, though, this would be strictly internal. Make sure we.
But anything's public though, I mean, you can do a public record.
Well, when,
Or to
so,
get a copy of it.
If it's not created, you don't.
yeah,
We haven't explored those other options in this document for those very reasons.
Everything's contingent upon planning and prospect.
you know, what I would tell you is when we get through the process we're currently working through, my goal is to have an extended work session with the board to explain these things and set up on direction, which obviously, you know, that long range plan, you know, he's talking about a 10-year plan, a 5-year plan. It's, I think our plan kind of election will actually. And I don't mean just ours, I mean legislative and this one.
Yeah,
So,
we don't have to tell you guys that.
but, so we will bring that forward and maybe that's the point in time I fill this out based on what the board has endorsed. That's just my concern, I think, because we have been asked, hey, in a perfect world, how would you do things X, Y, and Z, we share. And then it's, you know, long individuals got it and said, oh, you're planning, well, no. The brainstorming is a big difference, and so, you know, take the Deming Mercer study as a prime example. That school to be consolidated has been the long range plan long before I was back when that was that you happen to have a small group of people in the neighborhood become very organized for the right time, and of course, you spend a lot of money on studying and kill them. So I don't want that to happen because it will stifle our target. So, but if you would mind, I'm asking this for Clay, but if you would mind sharing part of the example, we can look at this. Okay? Oh, yeah.
Dave, for this meeting, who do you want to be there? So I send an invite to the appropriate people.
Well, I think Dennis, Mike, and I can invite John. I don't know. Anyone else think of start with? Right?
All right, well, anything else on our end? Brandon?
Got that on my note.
Well, with that, we want to thank you for everything you guys have done and getting ready for this meeting. I appreciate all your thorough preparation on this. And we will go ahead and end the recording at this point.